Welcome back. In this lecture, we are going to be discussing how communications will be affected by ChatGPT and AI. And we're going to look at your personal life, business life on a societal level, and also autonomous communications. That is going to be really exciting. Let's start off first with looking at personal communication. There's no doubt about it. You've noticed it already. ChatGPT is changing the way we communicate. First of all, when we now have access to pretty much all of the information in the world in a conversational manner to be accessed directly from our pocket, that is our phone, this changes things. Not only can it inform us, it can perform tasks as well. So what we're really bringing around here by having ChatGPT with us everywhere is a personal assistant that can find the things we need to find and perform a lot of the tasks that we need to have performed. So what we're already seeing is that we can have ChatGPT schedule appointments for us. Now, currently this is going to work through some form of CRM or CMS program where you have all of your potential appointments available. But I think very soon we're going to have our calendars be completely connected to AI and have the AI, that is in our case ChatGPT, rule all of our calendars, all of our appointments, all of our schedules, everything. And that is just the beginning. We're already seeing ChatGPT taking care of email responses for us. So currently we can ask ChatGPT what we should be replying to certain emails. We can ask ChatGPT to write emails from scratch. In fact, we have an entire section on email marketing, which you most likely have gone through already, where you can see how using the copy-paste prompts that is included in the guidebook allows you to create emails from scratch. It is unbelievable. But I think in the future, this is going to be taken to the next level. We are going to have AI directly communicating with people who we're emailing with. So that means that even you as a private person, you could have AI answer emails for you, which is pretty neat even for your personal life. Usually emails might be something that you want to take care of yourself, but even in one's personal life, there are going to be times where that needs to be, or at least you want it to be, outsourced. And that is something that's going to be happening in the future. It's certainly going to be a bigger deal for businesses, but it's also going to be available for us in our private lives. And of course, next up, phone calls. Now, it's not quite there yet, but we are going to be having AI who's taking care of phone calls for us. Not every phone call is going to be attractive for us to make, but they are going to be needed for us to make. So say, for example, you need to call your dentist and book an appointment. Well, let's say that you just use a voice command and you're just going to say, ChatGPT, call my dentist and book an appointment for me. So ChatGPT would find your dentist, call them up, have an actual conversation, and then ChatGPT would book in an appointment for you because ChatGPT also has access to your schedule. So this is the future of AI. They are going to be outsourcing and automating big parts of our lives, and this is where we need to maintain our own control. For example, a lot of you are going to want to answer your own emails, so keep that part. But maybe there are phone calls you don't want to make. You can use those parts, and maybe you don't want to play around with everything in your schedule. You can have an AI organize all of that for you. Now, looking at further communications, let's look at business communications. This is where things can really blow up. By using AI in business, that business is going to be able to handle thousands of inquiries at once. Just imagine today how many people that are employed in a business just to answer emails and customers' questions, concerns, shipments, returns, etc. All of that can not only be outsourced by one single artificial intelligence, but almost all of that can be taken care of instantly. That is pretty incredible. Rather than sending in a mail and waiting, 5 to 7 working days, you can send in a mail and you can have the problem resolved instantly, or even better, not send a mail at all. Use a classical chatbot, but have it upgraded with ChatGPT that has full access to everything it needs to do. That is going to be the future, where ChatGPT has so much access that it can do and take care of shipments for you, not just change the shipment order for a human to handle, but literally do the entire shipment, do the entire returns process for us. Complete automation. This is also going to help us reduce human error. Now, when we're writing our emails, when we are taking care of customers, if you have a very difficult customer that approaches some of your employees in the business, and that employee happens to have a really bad day, things can go wrong. That employee might snap at that customer. Maybe they had the right to, but that reflects badly on the business. These sort of human errors can be completely removed by using AI for that customer service. And we're talking about all sorts of errors. We're talking about the actual interaction. We're talking about spelling errors, the wrong orders. Of course, AI is prone to error as well, but much less likely to error than a human. And then again, humans sleep and chatbots do not. Again, AI, it just keeps running, it just keeps working, and it is so fast. So for a business to have its schedule taken care of, emails being sent, and perhaps even phone calls being taken care of by an AI like ChatGPT, and having that around 24/7, that is going to be such a game changer, especially for global businesses when you have customers that are in different time zones. And finally, instead of having an analyst, which you know how difficult it can be to go into Google Analytics, find the patterns, assume the meanings of the patterns, and then try them out. This is mandatory for any business to do, but using AI, you can derive what those different types of patterns means right away. You could have ChatGPT tell you exactly where you are in your business, what the patterns are suggesting, and what the strategy should be forward. In the Google Analytics section in this course, we're going to share with you not only how to find these different patterns to improve your strategy and improve your business, but you will also get access to over 100 analytics intelligence prompts, which you can just copy paste in to get access to whatever information that you're looking for. And that is amazing. That is where we are today. But in the future, I don't think you need a prompt like that. I think that the AI is going to tell you right away where you are and what you should do instead of you having to ask first. I think that is going to be the progress of analytics and where everything gets much more data driven. And now let's look at a really global scale. Let's talk about societal communication and how things will be affected, because this is a big one. First of all, language development. This is going to be so huge. Imagine if websites and blogs start disappearing more and more because ChatGPT is giving people information rather than people going to Google and landing on a website. Websites will probably still exist because you still need somewhere to sell your product. That will still need to be accessible for people. But chances are that social media is going to grow more and more because that is where we hang out in order to look what other human beings are doing, while we use a lot of blogs and articles on websites in order to learn. But ChatGPT can help us learn, but ChatGPT cannot give us that human interaction we get from social media. But this is also going to mean that people on the websites, if they're still going to exist in the blog and article format, and the people on social media are going to be using AI to generate all of their content. This is inevitable. Everyone is going to be using AI generated content for their content creation. That also means that almost everyone is going to be using a very similar type of language. And as we know, the way we adapt in society is that we learn from each other. So if all of the influencers that are currently big right now and that will be big in the future are using a similar to ChatGPT type of language, then that is going to influence how we use our language across the entire country. Chances are we're all going to start writing and speaking in a more correct way because that is the content we're reading, that is the way we're going to be taught to speak, and that is going to be our language development on a societal level. Next up, we're going to have the social media algorithms being improved. Now, the algorithm that decides what sort of content that should show for you on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, that is already AI. It's already looking at your patterns, what you're doing, and showing you relevant content based on what you have been looking at, based on your history, based on your cookies, all of the data it has. But chances are that this algorithm is going to improve in the future, is going to incorporate much higher AI intelligence, such as with ChatGPT, and it's going to analyze your patterns much better and also give you much more relevant content to show. The real question is going to be what sort of content will be filtered, because the issue with AI right now when it comes to the algorithm is that it shows you more relevant content. But that means that if you're looking at damaging content, you're being shown more damaging content. Having something like ChatGPT implement ethics, which is currently implemented, that might mean that if you are looking at something that is really inappropriate, you may not be shown relevant videos similar to that anymore. You might be shown alternatives to that sort of content that you're actually looking for, but that is actually good for you. That in itself could be a paradigm shift when it comes to how the algorithms work and what their responsibility is going to be on a societal level on how we communicate with each other through AI. This is very unclear, but it will certainly be an interesting thing to see how it develops. And then we we have potential biases. The information in AI and ChatGPT comes from somewhere. And depending on what is being fed, that depends on what we are going to learn as a society, and that depends on what sort of biases we are going to have. So we've spoken about this issue before, but the issue gets exaggerated when we're looking at a societal level, how an entire country is going to react to perhaps having a certain bias and not having access to another type of bias to balance it out, because we're going to deem one thing as a good thing and another thing as a bad thing. So we only allow ChatGPT to learn that one thing, but that in itself is the bias. So when it comes to staying objective with AI, that is an impossible task, but I think objectivity is something to strive for. But we are likely to see information becoming more and more similar that we're accessing as we go along with this development. And finally, mass content creation. But this goes hand in hand with the language development. We are going to have people who have the ability to create so much content in such a short amount of time. That is going to mean absolute chaos for the search engines, because it's the great equalizer. Everyone can do this now. But then again, when you have AI that you have direct access to, you won't be as affected by that, because the AI itself is going to be the source that you can get the information from. So you don't need to scour through all these different websites, but rather you can ask ChatGPT. But it will still have consequences for social media, for example, because you have so much content now being created endlessly. And when you start having AIs who are controlling other AIs, and that already exists, it's called Auto GPT. We have a master GPT who can control multiple other chat GPTs and ask them to perform tons of different tasks at once. That is where things get really crazy, because the amount of content that can be created and shoved out in the social media channels are going to be absolutely endless. So that means that the algorithms will need to be updated to sort of act in accordance with all of this mass content that is coming in. There will be new ranking factors and there will be big changes. What those are, I am not sure what's going to happen, but I am sure that there are changes that are coming. And then next up, and finally, one of the most interesting topics, autonomous communication. So when we're talking about autonomous communication, we're talking about the AI doing all of the communication for you, not just assisting you. So if you're using a prompt to write an email, well, then you're being assisted, because you still need to do the prompt, you still need to grab the email and then send it away. But completely autonomous communication would mean that you could just tell ChatGPT, go into my mailbox and answer all my emails appropriately. And hopefully technology is developed enough where it really does answer all of your emails appropriately. But that is where the autonomous communications are going to be coming in, and that's going to be happening more and more. Because imagine if vehicles are driving themselves, and they are already, just not on a global level yet, then of course we're going to have emails answering themselves. So we're really looking at an interesting future. And the first thing I'm thinking of is replacing customer service. And this is one of those jobs that are in real danger, in my opinion, of disappearing. Nothing can exchange a human contact, that is for sure. But especially digitally, it really can replace everything a human can do. And I believe soon they will be able to replace phone calls as well. And I think soon they will be able to replace the human aspect as well by having flesh-covered robots. That might be further down in the future, and that might not be something that we as humans accept as a replacement, but I think there will be attempts for it at least. But having autonomous communication really means that when you as a business need to have customer service, even as a small business with, starting up with a very small startup fund, you can still have amazing customer service by using AI. So making sure that all of that is automated means saving in a lot of money, and it also means saving in a lot of time. But that means that for you who has worked within customer service for a long time, you need to be looking at reskilling and upskilling. And then of course, we're also looking at the potential of replacing content creators and social media managers. Now, I don't think influencers are going anywhere. People are really coming to influencers because they want to learn about the person. However, the content creation of the influencers, I think that process can be almost completely automated, and that is coming very, very, very soon. So the role of being an influencer is going to change. I'm not sure how we will perceive that change, but it's definitely going to change, especially for those who are an influencer. Because when you have AI that can do the content creation for you, and I'm not just talking about writing an article, I'm talking about every day being programmed to come up with an idea, execute that idea, and then publish that idea. I'm talking complete automation. You won't need to hire a content creator. And then when you also have that same intelligence looking through your analytics, suggesting what you should be doing to take your influencer channel to the next level, and then implementing those changes for you, you won't need to have a social media manager either. either. So these sort of automations are going to change a great deal of things for a great deal of people, personally, business-wise, and on a societal level. And it will be very interesting to see how that is going to play out. And finally, of course, data analysts. Again, we've spoken about that, but if you can have AI interpret your data for you, find the patterns for you, do suggestions for you, and when complete autonomy sets in, implement those suggestions for you, we are in for some serious changes. So there's no doubt about it. If we were going to summarize this lecture in any way, it would be that for communications, automation will be a thing where AI will be communicating with humans and take care of the communications part. But that also means that the natural next part that is that instead of AIs communicating with humans, we're going to have AIs communicating with AIs for the humans. How that is going to play out, I'm not sure yet, but I think it's very, very probable that we are moving in that direction. So with that said, and all of our conversation about ChatGPT and about AI, in the next lecture, we are going to be discussing some potential threats to ChatGPT. There's no doubt about it, ChatGPT today is by far the biggest, the smartest, the most effective AI there is out there, and it's available to everyone. But there are competitors who are doing their best to catch up. Let's have a look at who those are, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, the differences, etc. See you in the next lecture.